Coach, just talk about the process of coming to UCF. How has it been? How has the journey been? And when did you know UCF was the job for you?
Man, it's been a blessing, honestly. I mean, all glory to God on that part of it. But it's been a journey, you know what I mean. As far as me just being able to get to this level, you know what I mean. I started coaching at a very young age and went from NAI to now to the Big 12. So it's definitely been a process and that I love. Started from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. So it's one of the coolest things that you could be a part of.
And what were some of those calls with Coach Frost and the process of coming here and realizing that you were going to get this job?
Man, it goes back to those relationships. You know what I mean? Building those relationships through the process, and really just making sure that you keep every relationship a good one. You know what I mean? And I met Coach Frost many years ago, and when I got the call from him, it was just a great conversation that we were just able to like really just keep it going, and it was like next thing you know it was an hour and a half long. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And but it was really cool just to have reconnect and really kind of see how our paths have really just been intertwined through a lot of different processes.
Yeah, no, extended conversations are always a good sign.
Yeah.
That conversation, or I don't want to call it an interview. It sounds like you guys were just talking, but you say we talk about extended stuff. When it comes to the running backs in particular, it's become kind of a tradition that the UCF running back room has been particularly strong. Was that part of the appeal, and what do you plan to add to that?
Yeah, no, I've been blessed in the way that I've been able to have good rooms. You know what I mean, it goes to the players, it goes to our system. I've been around some great coaches that have that mindset. Your program starts with the trenches, and it really does a great job of starting with those old line up front, and then we set the tone with it, falling behind those guys. So I think that's where we all are in the same path and the same light of being able to go and know what it is that we were looking for.
Oh, when we talked about the trenches too, I don't know if you heard me ask Coach about it, but personally, a lot of the beef coming out here in the recruitment I'm seeing here on the announcements and stuff, you have to be excited to have seen that concentration happen. I know that the layman may be like, but he's not getting running backs, but seeing the old lineman class being brought in as part of priority, how much does that excite you, and what do you think that says about the identity of the team so far?
Well, the cool thing is, like some of my best friends playing and growing up were old linemen. We always joke that I'm an old lineman trapped in a running back's body, But those guys, they don't get the glory. They don't get the excitement. But, without those guys, man, running backs, we are not even in the picture. You know what I mean? And to start those guys in the trenches and really know that's the foundation of your program, how he wants to build it, how he wants to make sure we know we're tough, we're fast, and we're able to do a lot of things with those guys, it just makes everything else just come together.
And another piece to it that these guys have enjoyed is playing across a good set of D tackles in practice. See that?
Man.
I always like getting the opposing point of view on that. Apparently, obviously John Walker's still here as far as we know. You got to add that nowadays in the NIL, sorry. But just how important is that in the development of your room?
Man, it's great to go get good competition. And I think that's where, like you said, building those two rooms up and being able to let that be a starting point for the team. I think you just see the progression. You see the hardness, you see the toughness. You see the guys that are willing just to work without even any regard for their own self. You know what I mean? And that's where the team over me really starts.
Well then, and this will be the last one for me. Obviously, this part of the season, you're still kind of building that chemistry and that camaraderie. A lot of different coaches have their method to kind of bring their guys together. I know last year's O-line, I can ask any of them a question about smoking barbecue, they would have a take. What's kind of what you bring to the table with that? How do you work to bond with your guys?
Yeah, so playing the position that starts, you know what I mean. But the one cool thing that we really talked about in our room is a brotherhood. You know what I mean. Two is TBD, right? Trust, brotherhood, determination. And so we always find a way to bring that trust first, that we all find a way to trust each other, and then we are unified and becoming a brotherhood, and then we determine not to stop.
And how much of that is playing Madden outside of practice?
Those guys, they want me to give them sticks a little bit, you know what I mean? And, we always find a different way to, like, send something in the group chat and be able to really talk and and really have something going on. But those guys, I have a good group of guys, and I really like where they're going.
I mean, do they need to be careful what they're asking for with that? You gonna give them a game coach?
Now, I'm not a true gamer, you know what I mean? But, I mean, I've been around coaching a long time. I had to get into it. So, I got the NCAA ready to go.
Kind of pulled you.
Pull me
What
back
choice
in.
did you have?
I didn't.
I
not
got
much.
other friends like that. I get you.
Coach, you mentioned the history of UCF's and strong running back room. Think of legends like Kevin Smith, R.J. Harvey just recently.
See, there's that tradition we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you look to bring into this running back room? And looking at the history of it, do you hope to use some of those guys' past experiences here to eventually propel another legend into the UCF running back room?
I mean, I think it's always great to, know where you come from. And the guys are really, sometimes they don't even know who was the last 1,000-yard rusher in the room. And for me, it's always been a great thing as far as pride in the position. Because the guys that actually played it and were in the trenches and were the guys that were having to make the cuts and fight for those extra yards, those are the guys that are really going to, show you and tell you what it was like. And I think those guys are really open, Talked to a few of those guys already, and they're like, shoot, whatever you need, coach, I'm coming back, And just at least talk, and have a relationship that really, on those tough days, when you're running through, inside zone or outside zone, and you got to figure it out, man, now you got to study for a test, those guys are the ones that, have did it and been in their own shoes.
And you talk about players being open to learning and the current guys and what's your current, I know it's obviously early, but what's your current evaluation of the guys? For example, a veteran who saw some solid touches last year, Miles Montgomery. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, no, the cool thing is that they're all working, Hey, it starts right now, it's open. So they're all just going so hard to compete. And they're determined, They're determined to be really good. The first thing we do in our room is set goals. Not my necessary goals, their goals. And I want to know what that is for them, and I want to be able to say, hey, okay, now I'm going to hold you to this goal. And it really starts with those guys saying, hey, I want this. And how bad do we really want it? Let's go get it.
And shifting more to the focus of the whole team with Coach Scott Frost, what have you seen about his culture implementation and the way he's trying to go about things this second time around at UCF?
Yeah, so it's fun to see his energy, his spark of energy, his ability to really kind of get a bond with all the players. Has been really cool to see. Not just offense, not just special teams, but defense. He's over there, giving them information about situational stuff, how that we want to be represented on the field all together. No matter who's on the field, this is who we are. And that's the cool thing for me to be able to see from a holistic point, being able to see him articulate that in our team meetings.
Now, Coach Beal, and I know I said last question. That's my bad.
No, you come in.
See, if it's something I'm going to give you a little homework. I know this is very pretentious for a media guy to do, but I'm going to give you a little homework. I'm going to have you ask Coach Frost about him running the option with his team last time he was here. And doing that in practice. And when we check back in, I'm going to ask you what he told you, okay?
Well, I'm not one that to be afraid of having 2 or 3 multiple backs on the game, you know what I mean? So I'll love to answer. I'll take that homework in pride and make sure I can see what we talk about.
So be it. And I wanted to build it to this, obviously, the R.J. Harvey experience last year was big. What kind of impact is it on you? Obviously, you got guys you're looking at. That's a big hole to fill. That's a big role to kind of succeed, if you will. What does that do for your room? Obviously, it does add pressure, but what are the positives it brings?
Yeah, it brings a challenge, and it brings a goal. Like we talked about, we're really goal oriented, and we see where the bar is set, and we want to go to that goal and surpass it, and those are what us are determined to do, So I think that's something cool for our guys to actually see it and be relevant, nothing that was like 20 years ago or something like that, and they got to try to, look up the, history books to figure it out, but it was literally a year ago, and those guys are able to really see it and really know that it's attainable.
And you mentioned challenge and competition. What does that mean for the younger guys in the running back room? How are they going to be evaluated and get their shot, for example, a young player like Stacey Gage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's cool to see that, in our game, the guys that are able to play fast at a high level. We are definitely trying to make sure that everybody has their ability to really show their own strengths. Every running back's going to be different, but once they feel that comfortability and being able to have the player run practices and be able to run have open meeting doors for those guys, young guys, to really just come back and feel comfortable, I think that's where you'll see those guys be able to shine.
You mentioned players being able to shine. Coach Frost has always been known for having an exciting, high-powered offense. How much pride are you going to take knowing that your running back room is going to be one of the leading charges of that?
So yeah, I mean, we like I said, TBD is our big one, but we also call ourselves the Juice Squad. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Juice Squad. So being that with that, you know, we bring that spark, we bring that juice, and that just right in line with how Coach Frost gets down. You know what I mean? He likes that energy. He likes that excitement. You know, he's not a raw guy that's going to, you know, it's me. We're going to do whatever the team needs. You know, we're going to be that spark, that juice, that light that's going to be able to see for the whole, bounce house to see, and it's a fun time.
It's going to transition into basketball nights. We got a guy called Juice on the basketball roster, right?
See? Okay.
So, and then to start wrapping it up, I mean, what are the expectations that are being shared in the room, in the locker room with Coach Frost and all the running back room? What do you want to see the most out of these guys during, especially spring practice?
Yeah, we're all about building trust. I think that's where it really starts with, you know, them building trust with me and our relationship, but it also becomes with their teammates. You know what I mean? Can they be dependable at 6 o'clock in the morning for weights? Can they be dependable for a walkthrough? Could they be dependable for the different situations that might come about, so that they are always saying, hey, I know this guy has my back. And once it starts that way, everything else will come to fruition for him.
And then, Coach, just to end off with one final fun question. I mean, what's been your favorite part about UCF and the local Orlando area since you've been here?
Man, the coolest part so far is I just came from Utah, so it was a little chilly out there. I was able to I had to go buy some new shorts because I don't really have that much short game, but that's been one of the coolest things, just to have, you know, the weather outside, you know, to being able to see the trees and the sunshine. It's awesome, you know what I mean? So that's been fun.
When you discover the magic of open-toed shoes and flip-flops, you will be converted. I as a Florida native, sir.
Open-toed shoes and flip-flops. I'm loving what I'm hearing, you know what I mean? You know, that just means we get to be on a little bit of a, you know, beach vibe, you know what I mean? I am from California originally, so.
See, tying shoes is just so ponderous.
You know, it takes a little more time, you know? I get it. I get it.
All right, so tell us your thoughts first when you got the call that Coach Frost is coming back to Orlando and that he retained you to be a part of his staff.
Well, obviously, I was ecstatic. You know, Coach Frost and I has had some good times coaching here, obviously. And then, obviously, this is my alma mater, and I spent so many years here prior to Coach Frost coming in. So this was an awesome feeling for me to be back, you know, in a place that I've helped build over the years, and excited with what we're getting ready to do.
Like you said, this is your alma mater, and you've seen this place grow over the years. As a former player and coach, what does it mean to still be coaching here?
Well, it means a lot. It means I've stood the test of time. You know, my wife reminds me that all the time. You're blessed and fortunate, you know, to be in the position that I'm in. Obviously, you know, coaching professions, you move around a lot. I've been blessed not to be able to move around as much in my career, and excited about, you know, continued opportunity to continue to build this program.
Sir, obviously, like you said, you're known as the vet around here. How do you plan on replicating the similar success you and Coach Frost had back in 2016, 2017?
Well, it's going to be hard to replicate. I mean, at that time, you know, everything aligned, you know, completely for us during that season, and you know, we've learned a lot, you know, from over the years as coaches in various different places. We got a new staff that we're putting together, and you know, getting to know those guys. So, you know, right now it's really early. You know, we want to, you know, obviously get these guys up to speed. We've been on the road recruiting, so it's kind of a little bit trying to get around those guys right now as a staff, getting around those guys, and actually, you know, Steve Cooper and Coach Frost are doing a good job of kind of putting things together. You know, so it's kind of a work in progress right now for us.
You said how it's going to be hard to replicate. Obviously, the stars did align back in 2016, 2017. You've kind of been coaching. It's a new landscape of college football. Kind of give me your take on NIL and what it's turned into. We spoke to Coach Frost, and you know, he had a very interesting opinion on it. I want to hear what you have to say about this new college football landscape.
Well, the new college football landscape is it's a challenge. It seems like it's an evolving situation. try to research what other people are doing and try to look at other schools. And we got a lot of smart people on our staff. And Coach Frost has done a good job of managing and to me, being out of it, like Coach Frost, we were kind of blindsided a little bit, this year on how to handle things, and we have a pretty good grasp on things now on, how to deal with it in the future. But obviously, there's got to be some changes, and we're hoping the NCAA comes up with some really good changes, try to fix some of the flaws in it right now.
And finally, you've had numerous players earn all-conference accolades under your guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, how do you want to kind of mold this group of offensive players and wide receivers and get them to play the best of their ability? What's your mantra as a coach? And how
that's part of being a coach. You try to find out all the individuals, how they tick, how they learn, how hard they work, and some of the buttons that you need to push. I'm still trying to learn, right now with those guys. But my motto is to develop who I have. With this new age of football, you get new guys in who's been coached on a high level, and some guys are coming out of high school. So there's a happy medium there. How you find out who can retain information, how they are what's best to retain the information. So as in the end of the day, as a coach, your job is to get those guys to understand what you're doing, play hard, play fast, and be very tough, and you're gonna have successful.
Getting into the interview, just talk about the journey of coming to UCF. When did you know UCF was right for you? What were those conversations like with Coach Frost?
Well, it happened quick. I think it was December the 14th. It was a Sunday he called. It was late at night, and I didn't recognize the number. I didn't know who it was. And he says it's Scott Frost from Central Florida. And I thought someone was playing a joke on me, but I was able to come down and interview on a Tuesday, and the interview went well. Really not sure what was going to happen, and I was offered the job that afternoon, and I stayed here for 3 days. And I stayed here for almost a week, to be honest with you, with one set of clothes. So I had to go to Walmart and get some underwear and socks to have the rest of the few days to go. But it's been a blessing. I'm excited. I'm excited to help Coach Frost. I'm excited to be a part of the Knights Nation. It's a great program. I've watched it from afar. I haven't been involved in it much, but just be able to build on what Coach Frost wants to do here, I'm very blessed.
And when you were talking with Coach Frost and during those interviews, was the intention with becoming the offensive line coach?
We really didn't talk about it. That's my forte, is to be the offensive line coach. We talked mostly offensive line play, but I just want to be an offensive assistant. Didn't matter what it was, but it's an exciting time to be a Knight.
And then just elaborating further on that, in terms of your resume and building strong O-lines, what is that jump going to be like for you going into a Power 4 conference, and then now using those extra resources to build a strong in the trenches?
Well, again, there's a difference between a group of 5 and the P4, but again, I have coached in the Big Ten before. I coached at Louisville, so I know what it takes. Very thankful that Terry has given us all the resources we need to be successful here. And again, we have to make sure we go day by day and try to get 1% better every single day. And that's our goal right now. We're not trying to put limitations on how good we can get, but again, make sure we improve every single day.
And then Coach Frost in the recent presser just mentioned a team starts in the trenches. That's one of the most important things when building out a team, and that was one of the main keys using the transfer portal this offseason for him. How much pride do you take, and how happy are you that he invested a lot of resources into the offensive line?
Well, I think he invested in the whole program to begin with,
Yeah.
but we were able to go out and get some linemen in the transfer portal, which is big. But again, those are all improving right now. Some of them have got some tape of themselves playing other schools, but again, until they get in our system and see what they can really do. But again, we're excited that they're here. They had great work ethic. They've been a lot of fun to be around. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Coach, talk about your philosophy with the O-line. What makes a good, strong O-line?
Well, there's no such thing as a dumb offensive lineman anymore. You have to be smart to begin with. And, we look at things different. I want guys who can run and hit and play the game violently. And that's what we want to do within the rules. So as the recruiting goes on, guys who can run, who are smart, can adjust in the run. Those are kids we want here in Central Florida.
And then as you've probably heard, UCF is known for a great running game. Last year we had the likes of R.J. Harvey here, and previous years Kevin Smith, two legendary running backs. I mean, how much pride is it going to take that you know you're going to lead the a legendary rushing charge here at UCF?
Well, I'm a small part of it. Again, 30 years ago I could say I could be a part of it. I'm just a small part. We give them the right positions and to make sure our kids would understand the concepts, what plays we want to run, where the ball's going to hit. I think all those are small details we have to understand as an O-line unit. So I'm excited to be here, excited to be a part of the whole program, and again, excited to be a part of Coach Frost's staff.
And going a little bit backwards in your career, being head coach and working in the O-line in different places, I mean, what are the lessons you've learned over the years that you want to implement to this UCF offense?
The lessons I've learned throughout the years is keep it simple. It's not about how much you know, it's how much they know. And I think if you can get that down to get your base concepts, what your technique is, what your rules are on the offensive line, to be able to play fast. And if you know what to do, you play fast, you have a chance to be successful playing up front.
And to further go on that, I mean, what are the conversations between you and Coach Frost now in terms of using the O-line for different plays, different sets, and what are some of the concepts that you guys are talking about?
We're still going through that right now. When you get hired and then the transfer portal's going on, you get a little break for Christmas, and the portal's back happening again, then you go straight to recruiting high school kids. We haven't spent a lot of time getting to the finer details of our offensive system, but we'll work on that as we go. We started this afternoon, and we'll have a better answer for you come spring.
And then obviously it's still early, like you just mentioned, but with a quick glance of the roster you have on the offensive line now, how do you evaluate those guys? How hard they're going to be working?
Well, Dad went through every person on our roster that played offensive line, and I told them that everyone gets a clean slate, and we're going to play the best guys available, either a true freshman or a fifth-year senior, and I think our kids are buying into that. There's not one kid that hasn't worked their tails off since I've been here, and again, we can't work with them right now per the rules, but again, once spring practice happens, we'll have a better understanding of what they can do and how can they help us be successful.
And what's your philosophy with working out and making sure they're keeping strong and learning the playbook? You mentioned offensive linemen. There's no such thing as dumb ones anymore. What is your philosophy in making sure they're staying up to date with that?
Well, again, we can't meet with our players in the classroom so many hours a week, but we can't be on the field with them right now. So, again, their eagerness to learn, I think that goes a long way. But there's a big difference between the classroom and the football field. And we have to be able to carry from the classroom to the field to be successful. And when that time comes, we can go out and work with them. We'll have a better understanding. But again, great work. They have a great work ethic, great attitude. Been great in the weight room, and again, it's excited to be part of it.
And then just to end it off on a lighter note, I mean, what are some of your favorite things, or what's your favorite thing about UCF in the local Orlando area where you've been so far?
Well, I haven't had a chance to really explore. I think when I lived in a hotel for a few weeks, and I bought a house, and I have a blow-up mattress and a chair outside. So
that's it.
That's all I have. I don't have a TV. I have an iPad with no internet. So my wife gets down here on Saturday. I have a better understanding of what this place means. But we've worked a lot of hours to play catch up. You can come early in the morning, you stay late at night. So I really haven't seen Orlando in the daylight yet.
Yeah, I said it earlier. My dad was, my coach growing up, and my parents ran a youth football league, so football's always been in my family. And when I came here as a freshman, one thing I asked Coach Frost was, in the recruiting process, is if I ever wanted to get into coaching, could I GA for you? And he said yes, and that was a big reason why I wanted to come into UCF. So it was always at the forefront of my mind, but kind of thought more high school, like playing the NFL, make a living, and just move back to Hawaii one day, and maybe that'll still happen. Who knows? But coaching's always been a passion. I think just how I played and how I prepared, how I helped the team get prepared was an extension of the coaching staff. And what I was saying earlier, that's what quarterbacks got to do. You got to get your guys prepared. We only have X amount of hours allotted for us to be around you. At the end of the day, it's on us as a position room. And then getting hurt, Dylan coming in here, just like a little brother to me from back home, and just teaching him what I know as a player and seeing him do his thing, getting on the headset for those 2 years I was rehabbing, and chiming in to play calls and things like that. It was fun, it was super fun. And then the 1 year up north, and that time was a good learning experience, to say the least. And then the last 2 years up at Tennessee is man, it's been a heck of a journey, but coaching has kind of always been in my blood. I don't really say from my dad, just learning from him and the way he works, his consistency, his attention to detail, and then just learning from every coach I've been around. It's not work, man. This is so much fun.
Coach, take us to the beginning of the off season. When did you start realizing that this position would be available for you and you were the guy for the job?
It was last regular season game, about an hour after we played Vanderbilt up there. Saw the news about Coach Malzahn, and then got some phone calls from people out here and just heard some murmurs over the next couple of days. Had some phone calls and knew that this was a possibility, and and then it became a reality a week later. And Coach Frost called me, asked me to come down. I was like, well, let me talk to Coach Hype first, just out of respect for him, because these things happen fast, right? So it was a week later when I knew Coach Frost wanted me down here, and in all reality, I wanted to be down here, but out of respect for Coach Hype, I had to go talk to him first. Just everything he's done for me in the profession, and leaving there the right way was important to me, and Coach Frost called Coach Hype as well. Just mutual respect they have for each other. So it was about a week process, just hearing murmurs, and then it finally becoming a reality. And I had an idea it might happen, but when it really happened, like when I first got here, I was like, man, this doesn't even really feel real. It kind of felt weird, to be honest.
What's that reception been like? I mean, since you've been, I know you met your wife here. I know this is a special place. You were at a fan event, donor event last week. I know you probably took 1 million pictures with people. So what's it like, just kind of the reception?
Yeah, just the outpour of support. It might even be more than when we were here the first time. And I'm just grateful to be back. Grateful to be back where we started something special, and hopefully we can keep building on it.
And I'm sure during Scott Frost's introductory presser, you probably saw the teaser where he said, I know somebody else who could wear this number. What was going through your mind? And did you know at that time that was a thing?
Like I said, there was conversations leading up to it. Yes. Yeah.
And then to further mention, Frost had a recent interview with Mark where he said he doesn't hire coaches as friends or just because he didn't hire you just because you played for him, but he thinks that you can be a superstar coach in college football. What confidence does that instill in you?
Well, one, it humbles me just, because I still have a lot to learn, and, but for someone that I look up to, more than most people, that does mean a lot, and someone that is a superstar, in my opinion, in this profession. And as a player, as a coach, an OC, a head coach, he's done it all. It does mean a lot, but, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you earn. So to me, got to go earn, that title, got to go earn, whatever we want to go get as a team here. And really at the end of the day, it's just pouring into these guys, teaching them what I know, and letting them go putting them in a position to go make plays, and I believe we'll do that.
What kind of responsibilities did you have at Tennessee with Coach Hype? Did he have you in different positions, like game days? Were you upstairs on the field? Just kind of what did you take away from those 2 years that kind of helped prepare you for your first full-time position?
Yeah, up there, it's kind of a combination of, doing GA analyst work and quarterback coach work, just with everything that goes on at a place like that where, QB coaches can't always be in the room, so now they'll ask me to run a meeting and things like that. But everything from opponent game breakdown to, opponent reports to, coming up with play ideas, red zone reports, things like that. And then game day wise, spent part of my time there on the field with the quarterbacks, and then part of my time up there with the OC in the box this past season. So it was a great learning experience. I nothing but love and respect for those guys up there, man, and everything that I learned in those 2 years.
Coach, now being the QB coach here after playing here and having those successful seasons, kind of feel like it came full circle, and you went through a lot in those past couple of years. What are some of the best lessons that you've learned and eventually want to pass on to the younger generation?
More than anything, football is just a game. We pour so much into it, and I think more than anything, it's cliche to say, but football is what you do. It's not who you are. Could be like that. I've seen it in my own life, just game get taken away from you, and if you put all your eggs in that basket, it's going to let you down at some point. Tom Brady retires, they still play, football games, right? McKenzie Milton gets hurt, they still finish the game, play another game the next week. Like this thing is a never-ending cycle of, the ball's going to get put down, someone else is going to take your spot, and that's just the reality of this game. And one day, reality is going to hit you. This game's over, and who are you? What do you got to show for it? And for me now, being a husband, being a father, and to me, coaching is just an avenue to pour into these guys, and that's why I coach. Coach Hype, one thing he mentioned to me when I was going through my interview process up there at Tennessee, he's like, KZ, I didn't always see it this way, but coaching is a form of ministry, and you can take that a number of ways. But the way I see it, like, I'm put in a position to go spread the gospel with these kids, and that's why I coach. So more than anything, that's what I want to do. Pour into these kids, and teach them that this game is just a game. But if we're gonna do it, man, let's go win. Let's put our best foot forward, be the best players we can possibly be. But also, like, I look at my time here as a player. I didn't always set the best example for my teammates. So I'm hoping that when I pour into these QBs, that's my goal, is they'll be quality men and ready to lead their families by the time they get out of here.
January is a big recruiting month. We saw some offers to guys at Hawaii. I imagine you were a big part of that. And what's kind of going to be your philosophy going forward? Are you recruiting Hawaii? Are you kind of overseeing quarterback recruitment? What's kind of your responsibilities as far as that goes?
Yeah, so it's really hard to leave the state of Florida for good reason. There's so much talent out here. But quarterbacks, I'll go all over the country to go find us some guys. But to me, Hawaii and really just the Polynesian community in general, they got a unique thing with football, man. And I've seen it here personally, having guys that are, team-oriented, family-oriented guys, from myself to Dylan, Lokahi, other guys we had from Hawaii, like, they bring a love and care that isn't always normal to some people. And when it's about the team and not always about me, that's important. And I just think Hawaii kids bring that. And then there's just a level of toughness that comes from the island. So we'll recruit Hawaii a little bit. Hopefully we can get some guys out here. We just signed one this past period, and we're super fired up about him. You turn on his tape, man. He's a mean dude. So yes, I want to get some Hawaii kids out here, but we got to get the right ones too. So that's the plan.
Hey, Coach, how has
Last question.
and I'm sorry if you answered this already, but
okay.
How has your perspective of the game changed since transitioning from player to coach?
Yeah, like I said earlier, just I used to think football was everything, and it's still a big part of my life because it's my profession. But at some point, this game's going to end for these guys, for everybody. I'll stop coaching at some point, and really, is what fruit do you want your life to bear? Is it you threw a bunch of touchdowns, or you poured into the people around you to help them get to where they wanted to go? And for me, that's starts, one, with my family, and then two, with the guys that I'm coaching up in the locker room.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thanks a lot,
y'all.
Coach.
Thank you, guys.